Hey everyone, this talk is about embark on your platform engineering adventure with Crossplane. Before jumping to any of the theory and hands-on demo, I would like to introduce ourselves. I am Seema Saharan. I'm currently working as an SRE at Autodesk and I'm a CNCF ambassador. Along with me, my co-speaker is Aditya Soni, who is working as a DevOps engineer at Forrester, and he is also a fellow CNCF ambassador. And we have been doing this community work and talks for a couple of years, and we love doing that. In this talk, we will include understanding Crossplane.io, and we will talk about the difference between Crossplane and the rest of the tools that we have in the market. We will understand the core components of Crossplane, and we also have a demo included in this talk. And lastly, we will discuss the Kubernetes architecture with Crossplane. So before jumping to any of the demo, you need to have a better understanding what is a crossplane, why do we even have to use it, and I mean, how is it beneficial from rest of the tools? We will include that. So the first thing is it enables multi-cloud deployment. So you just have to write a single file for all your cloud platforms. So if you are using multi-clouds, it will be very beneficial for you. Or even if you are moving from one cloud to another, it will be a really easy move for you. So let's suppose you are using AWS, Azure, GCP. It allows you to do that. You don't have to change anything. Next is it's an open source project. It's cost effective, and you have the complete documentation with you, so it's easier to understand for you. And there is a community also which can help you in setting up and if you have any doubts and all. Next is it allows the organization to manage and provision infrastructure directly from Kubernetes. So if your organization is heavily using Kubernetes, then it's a good option for you to use Crossplane because you don't have to install any third-party tools apart from Kubernetes, and you don't have to have the headache to manage that. Next is it is using Kubernetes API to manage and provision the cloud infrastructure, services, and other resources. Lastly, it Kubernetes turns it into a universal control plane. So basically, Crossplane is using the API driven approach of Kubernetes and applies it for your infrastructure management, and basically it's like a universal control plane. So let's now understand the difference between Crossplane and the rest of the tools. First is automated healing capabilities. So let's suppose there is a scenario where you have created some resources in AWS, Azure, or any other cloud platform where you delete a resource manually and the configuration is still present on your crossplane objects, right? So crossplane will recreate those objects for you. You don't have to worry about that. Next is dynamic provisioning. It uses resource claims and compositions for it. Let's suppose your application developer can ask for a database without worrying about the underlying platform and the version and all the other configuration details. So the developers don't need to worry about that. They just have to say that they just need a DB, right? And it will be created for you using Crossplane. So it's a really easy process for you. Next is policy based governance. So we can set granular policies for resource provisioning, ensuring that um, resources comply with the organization policy and best practices. But with the Terraform, it provides the policies using modules and variable validation. Crossplane provides dynamic and real time policy informants. Um, Next, you can also use team collaboration with it. So it uses existing Kubernetes RBAC. And next is CI/CD integration. So it fits perfectly with the Kubernetes native CI/CD pipelines. And the main thing is you don't have to worry about the state file, because when you are using Terraform, it's really hard to keep track of the state files. Maybe you have done some manual changes and your state file is not updated, you might have some tech debt for that. So you don't have to really worry about that because it relies on the HCD state management. Lastly, we have custom resources and in-house tooling for you right under Crossplane.
Thank you so much, Seema, for explaining Crossplane versus REST and other important concepts. Now let's move forward with the demo part. Before moving to demo, let me explain you the quick concept that is like when you install Crossplane on any of the Kubernetes cluster, what happens? Okay, you need to understand this. So whenever you install Crossplane on the Kubernetes cluster, so you get these all components installed by default. Okay, but top of that, you should know like with the Crossplane on Kubernetes, you get a basic feature of Kubernetes that is like reconciliation, okay, or auto healing feature. So whatever you have defined in your basically the code, that will be always like observed, and the Kubernetes cluster will be act according to that. So what I mean by this is like, let's say you have your Crossplane installed. At the same time, you are just deploying resources on the AWS cloud with the help of Crossplane. In AWS, let's say you have deployed some buckets, Lambda function, a lot of stuff. Some developer is going, he is doing some changes manually over that particular stuff, instead of that is not available in the code. So Crossplane will auto check this, and it will reconcile whatever changes is being done according to the code and that is being applied. Okay, so that's how it will go. We will be checking it at the end of the demo, but let's first understand this. So whenever you install Crossplane, there are two components that by default installed with you. So basically the first, the core. So that will be your the main Crossplane, I would say, system, or the Crossplane system namespace, where you will get the basic needed pods and then some deployments for the Crossplane. Apart from that, you will be installing provider. So provider can be anything, like if you're going with AWS cloud, then you can have it. If you're going with Azure or Google cloud, then you can go with that. Okay, and apart from that, you will having the all of the basic resources that you get in any Kubernetes cluster. So with help of these particular CRDs, you will get a lot of capabilities in your cluster to deploy and manage resources. So when you say XR, so these are the composite resource. Okay, so this is the particular the resource that you define here, and again XRDs are the definition of this particular resource. So let's say you want to deploy any resource that can be S3 bucket. Okay, now that S3 bucket is the particular XR, but you have to define your own capabilities. Let's say your particular tags, your particular name for that bucket. So that will go to definitions. Okay, and so if you see here, there is a separation we have did, and there is a reason to do that. Okay, so if you see that, like we have the claim A, claim B. So claims are used for like basically separate the two things in your cluster. So let's say if there's a developer team who want to access the whole Crossplane cluster, instead of giving you the whole access, you will be creating the claims for them, and according to claims and according to what's their need, you can give them permissions. According to, they can just basically have the permissions for that particular resources, something like that. So yeah, that's all for this. Now if we move forward with demo, so this will be something like crafting your platform with Crossplane. The first thing we're going to do is we'll be installing the Crossplane, and after that we'll be installing the AWS provider, and we'll be configuring our credentials on the AWS cloud, and then we are like doing some configurations for the provider itself and deploying that S3 bucket on the Crossplane, and we will checking the status of the resource. Okay, so moving forward, let's go with this and see how it goes. So for now, what I have did is basically I do have my one of the Kubernetes cluster that is being here. So if you see, I do have created this cluster called platform called Crossplane, and it's having two nodes, and like there's two nodes only. And at the same time, if you see, I'm just logging with this Cloud Shell, and going forward, if we see like, so yeah, it's the same cluster and I'm having the access for the same. Let's check it out, like how the namespace is going on. So as of now, we have only the default namespaces, nothing related to Crossplane. And let's install the Crossplane in this particular cluster. Okay, so going forward, I'm gonna just take the basic, or I would say the same capabilities that actually given by the Crossplane. So like before even moving forward, let me give you a quick idea. Like this is the crossplane.io, the main website that from where you can start your journey with this, and you can just start maybe with the help of documentation over there, or maybe like any particular concepts if you want to go through it. Okay, So that's how it will go. As I talked about like some providers, so yeah, there's a like this marketplace that you can go through, and you can have installed any provider. So this is being for provider AWS, but apart from that, you can find a lot of providers. And even in the AWS provider, there are lots of resources, that is like 193 resources you can create, and then each resource it's having its definitions available here. Okay, and then you can just copy the code from here, and then you can define it and modify it according to your use. Okay, so apart from AWS, there are lots of providers that's giving by the Crossplane. So let's say like it's GCP or maybe Terraform, Azure, a lot of things are available. So maybe you can just check on that. Okay, so yeah, let's go with the installing the particular provider. So yeah, Helm is already installed, and I'm gonna just pull the chart and then install it. So I'm gonna just add the basic repo. That's the Crossplane stable repo that is given by the Crossplane itself. So the repo has been added, and now I'm gonna just update this particular stuff. So if you see, this is being updated. So let's check it out. Is our repo is already been added or not? So if you see like Crossplane stable, that is the repo that we have just added now. Now let's install the Crossplane with the help of this particular repo. So this is what I did is dry run. So with help of dry run, you will just get what are the resources this particular chart will be deploying. And I would suggest like instead of before deploying anything, just always run dry run. So accordingly you will get, okay, so it will be doing some RBAC, and a lot of things will be installed like side by side. Okay, so now instead of like wasting a lot of time, I'm just gonna install it instead of dry run, and then here you go. So this will be installed in a particular namespace that's called Crossplane system. So let's check our resources are deployed or not. As it's saying it's being deployed, but let's see. So the first thing I'm gonna check is the pods, the same namespace. So if you see, pods are coming now. Crossplane, RBAC manager, and then provider S3, and these all are pods actually is coming now. Okay. Apart from that, let's check the all of the resources that is being deployed with help of that chart. So yeah, if you see here, like there are some pods coming in at the same time. There are some services created, deployments, and a lot of stuff. But now let's move forward. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we will be installing a AWS provider. Okay, so I do have created a particular script for like particular YAML for installing the AWS provider. So like how that will looks like is like this. So it's nothing, like I've just given the AWS provider and the package that I want to install with the version. So that's how it will be done. So I'll be just applying the same file, and then it should be done. So yeah, it's already deployed with the chart itself. So let's check like if it's done or not. So if I see here, it's being done. And if you see here, like there are two providers that is being installed, it'll be S3 provider and the basic one. So these two providers are already there. Now let's check some CRDs if it's available here. So as we talked about, like there will be a lot of CRDs that actually being managed by Crossplane. So if you see here, there are lots of CRD that is being installed by the Crossplane. And if you want to check it more briefly, then I would suggest to go with one command that is being this one. So you can check maybe the API resources and grab Crossplane. So you will get the exact what we discussed. So XRDs, XR, and then there are some compositions and the claims and all of this stuff. You can get these. Okay, so this is being installed already. Now let's move forward with the next step. That is like we will be like giving Crossplane access to our AWS account, so it can do a lot of stuff over there. Okay, so as I showed, like there's already cluster, and the same account I'll be giving the access. So for giving the access, I have just already taken the secret and access keys for my AWS account, and I have just put the same in. There's a file I created as a credential.txt, and that is having all of the credentials that I wanted to pass. So yeah, let's make a secret from that file, and once the secret will be created, like we can use the same secret to log in with our AWS account. Okay, so if you see, the secret is created, and let me describe that secret also for you to show like how it's being done. So if you see the credential, and that is being already uh, encapsulated and it's being in this particular bytes. So now let's move forward with applying the provider config. So provider config is something that as we already have the provider for Kubernetes, but now we will be configuring that provider with help of this secret. So we will be telling the provider like you can use this secret and you can log in that particular account to create the resources. Okay, so that's what it will be doing. Okay, so yeah, the command is wrong, it will be key small. Okay, so it's already the provider is already there and the secret already being added to that. Now let's move forward with the next thing, that we will be creating a particular resource, and we're gonna start with the one resource only, that will be S3. So I have created this particular small YAML that will be creating a bucket called Crossplane bucket, and then this will be going with the default configs and all. So yeah, let's move forward with that, and I'm gonna create this bucket with the help of this. And if you see, it's saying the bucket is created. So let's go to S3 and see if it's being working or not. Okay, so this bucket came just now. So I'm recording it now itself. So yeah, it just came now for the USEs too, and the bucket name you can already see. Okay, so that's what the beauty is. So you can deploy anything with the help of like a written YAML file by the Crossplane, and the main thing is like a Kubernetes cluster will work as a control plane. This will be single source of truth to manage everything, and at the same time you can do a lot of stuff on the other cloud providers. Okay, let's check like our bucket. So as we have already deployed one CRD, so the CRD already know like what is buckets by default. In Kubernetes you won't get this kind of option like Kubernetes get buckets, but now our CRD actually telling Kubernetes API to know like this is the bucket and this is another resource that we have created. So if you see Kubernetes get buckets, I am getting this Crossplane bucket that is being created on AWS. At the same time, this is being created. So now let's say if I delete this bucket from AWS directly, then the Crossplane will already know like this is being deleted and it will recreate it. Okay, so that's how like the reconciliation group or the auto healing will work with Crossplane. So yeah, I guess that's all for now, and maybe we can just move forward. If you want to delete this bucket, you can just write like this. So delete. So it will work now as a like basic resource of Kubernetes, nothing else. So I'm just deleting the buckets and the bucket name will be this. So if I delete bucket from here, this should be deleted from AWS too. So if you see here, so as of now it's available, and if I do the refresh, it's gone. So yeah, that's how you can manage a lot of stuff from Crossplane. It's just a simple example that I've given, but yeah, there are a lot of things you can do. So yeah, I hope this might help you, and looking forward to see you doing a lot of stuff with Crossplane going forward. Maybe you can like deploy this thing, and maybe you can do a lot of stuff with integrating GitOps concept with the Crossplane, and doing a lot of automation with the CD process also. So yeah, that's all. And uh, so that's all about us. You can maybe join us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and where you want to go. It's just our link trees links, and then you can just follow us. Thank you so much.